Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I have been putting this off for far too long and I just need to get it done and over with. Today we're doing business taxes. Now, if you haven't done business taxes before, it's actually very different than if you were just doing it for yourself, because especially if you're like me and you pay yourself money, all that good stuff, more than likely you're gonna have to pay in every year. Now, a little disclaimer, I am not a tax expert. I'm not an accountant. I had like a semester, maybe 2 semesters in college about accounting. That's pretty much it. Most of this I learned from having a personal accountant that I had do my business taxes about 2 years ago, but starting last year I did my own taxes through TurboTax, and I wish this was sponsored by TurboTax because I love them, but it is not. But I highly recommend them. They make it pretty easy to file your taxes, especially like if you own a business and are self-employed. And so last year I did TurboTax for my business and personal taxes, and it went very smoothly. So again, this year I will be using them as well. Now, this may be a little bit different for some of you. My business is a sole proprietorship. I do not have an LLC, and the reason this is because a sole proprietorship is like a little bit on the cheaper end, whereas an LLC is like on the higher end. I don't really know too much about LLC because that's not my business. And a sole proprietorship is like you're one with your business, if that makes any sense. So like the only like difference to me between a sole proprietorship and an LLC is that if someone wants to sue your company, if you're a sole proprietorship, they're practically suing you as a person. Whereas if you have an LLC, if they sue the company, they're just suing the company and they're not suing you as a person. That's my understanding of it. Again, I'm not a professional. Like, we learn as we go. And yeah, I've just been putting this off for the longest time, and I've had so many people ask me to do an updated small business taxes video, and so I'm gonna try my best in this one. A lot of it isn't different from what I did in my previous one from like 2 years ago. I no longer destroy trees. I can't believe back then I would print off every single receipt of anything that I ordered online for my business, and instead I've been using Dropbox. It's actually free that you can use, and so I just label a folder with the year, and then within that folder I create 12 folders with the months and just help stay organized that way. I know a lot of people use a CPA, and again, I've used one in the past, but she was just always so booked that I just turned to doing it on my own. And this way, like, I can do it on my own time too, and you know, procrastinating a little bit more. Alrighty, so without further ado, let's get into doing our business taxes. Okay, so as you can see here, I have my Dropbox open, and I'm just gonna go to my folder that says 2023 because we're doing the 2023 taxes. And here I have all of my folders. So you don't necessarily have to do this with TurboTax. I personally just like to do this. I'm gonna go through and on a spreadsheet put in everything and then total up like all the expenses that I spent on my business. Because with TurboTax, I personally have a business credit card that I use, and in TurboTax you can put your business credit card in and it will file and go through and organize everything to what your expenses were for that year. And I just like to make sure that it's about the same amount. Some stuff is not on my business credit card, that being like my new YouTube camera and then also my desktop, so I have to put that in manually. And this may not be a lot of you that have this, but I personally get 1099s from other businesses due to collaborations and just like affiliate links, all that good stuff. So I also received all of those either by mail or email, and I do print those off just so then I have them in my hands and that I put them in a separate folder in my actual office just in case if I ever get audited. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna organize all of this into a Google Doc or like an Excel spreadsheet, if you will, and then we'll go into TurboTax and start doing that stuff. Also, for personal reasons, I will be blurring out the computer while I do this. I typically am very transparent in anything and everything, but for this, I'm just gonna blur it out because one, I don't want people judging me, and two, like, it's just personal. Okay, so I just wanted to give you an example of what June's looks like. Like I do this for every single month, so I just put the month on top in bold, and then down underneath the month I put like what was purchased or like where I purchased it, and then to the right how much it was. And at the end of the month I will total up the total expenses. A lot of people may say this is a lot of extra work, but honestly I would rather be right than wrong. And plus it really scares me to have something done wrong and have like the IRS come at me. I'm not trying to have that. Like that's literally one of my biggest fears, is having the IRS come at me. If you know anyone that works in the IRS or anything like that, please do not send them my way. Like I will literally have a heart attack and probably die. But I am almost done. I'm currently on August and we've been doing this for about an hour. So I'm just gonna keep on pushing through, getting this all done, and then we are gonna get on to TurboTax and hopefully finish it rather quickly. Okay, so I just finished the Excel spreadsheet and then I grand totaled it all, and holy smokes, I spent that much money. That's absolutely insane to me right now. But now I'm getting on to TurboTax. I'm gonna put in all of my personal information. It will literally say like, what do you do? And then you just say like small business owner, put in your social security, all that good stuff, and just keep going with whatever they ask you. Okay, so I just got to my expenses page. Now with TurboTax, you're able to connect your business credit card, your business bank account, pretty much anything. So I only use my business credit card for business expenses, and then I have a Best Buy credit card because that's where I buy all my technology for my business. I don't buy any personal stuff on it. So I added those two cards in. It categorizes everything for me. And then you use your car, like your personal car for your business, you're able to write off the mileage. Now I have a little book that I keep in my car. This is the book that I keep. And I write down all the miles I've driven. I write down the dates and the total miles and the reason for. And I highly, 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 highly suggest doing this, because if you ever do get audited, you have proof that you did drive these and like how many miles it was, whatever. And some of them were even for product photos, just driving to the venue, like my PR space that I rent, and then driving back home. That is a business expense. Now I'm just gonna total up all of my mileage and put it in because it's a write-off. Okay, I'm sorry if this video seems kind of all over the place. I'm just going step by step on TurboTax, and as something comes up that I think a lot of people would have questions about, I'm just kind of turning on the camera and answering them. So I just got to the home office state, and so for me, I have 3 rooms in my house. So I just take the square footage and I put in there that I have 3 different rooms that I'm using mainly for my business. Like I don't use them for anything else. And so then I put in the square footage of everything into here, and I also get a tax deduction. This is actually like a really nice thing about having your business in your home, is that you can write off the square footage that your business uses inside of your home. I also want to show you guys this. So you can also write off your cell phone service. So in total, I paid $12.54 just for my phone, because I do use my phone for literally everything business wise. And then also I'm able to write off the internet service for my house, and I spent $1,200 on that last year. But for me, that's the only communication expenses that I had. So I'm gonna move on to the next step. So after doing all my expenses it's on like the same page. Like when you actually do it on TurboTax, you'll totally understand, and I would show you guys, but again, like personal reasons and like privacy. But now I'm on to income. So I have my business through Shopify, and so with Shopify, you will receive a 1099K, and they'll either email it to you or put it in the mail, like when it's due, you know. And so I just put that in and this paper is now done. And I work with other businesses. I make money off of different social media platforms. And personally, I pay for student loans, all that good stuff. And so I also received papers for those. And so I still had to put those in, but that's pretty much the stuff that I'm working on right now. Alrighty, I just finished all of my tax forms, which is kind of crazy. I can't believe I actually did it in one day. I think last year it took me about an entire week because I was getting used to doing all the TurboTax and their terminology and having everything in. But once you start using TurboTax like yearly, it kind of just like filters in things for you, or is like, hey, you claimed this last year, like, do you need to claim it again, like, or something else, you know what I mean? And so I also want to put this out there that if you go to like dinner or something with an associate, so like you're talking business, all things business wise, it's a tax write-off. Like you can write off meals when you are talking business. Now, be very careful with this because I personally have never gotten audited, like I said before. And I don't normally like put just random meals on my card and try and claim them as a write-off. Like truly, like I only pay with my credit card, like my business credit card, for meals where I'm actually talking about business and we're going over business things. But this is also just a sign that a lot of things can be a write-off. Now, even though you have a very successful year, like you might have a ton of expenses along with it, but there's so much that you can write off with it. So one, like my software that I use for editing for YouTube, that's a tax write-off. Mileage on my car, tax write-off. Business meals, tax write-off. Hotels that I do for business, write-off. Like there's so many different things that are tax write-off, and it's absolutely amazing, especially as a self-employed business owner. But obviously I still owe money to the federal government, but it's actually not as much as I thought it was gonna be. It's around like the same that I owed last year. And another thing that I love about TurboTax is that it checks everything for you, and it will tell you like if you're low or high risk of like getting audited. Again, just because it might say that you're low doesn't mean that you won't get audited, but I kind of think that like puts a little ease on my mind. And I also like how on top it tells you like how long it's probably going to take for you to do your actual taxes. So mine, it says that 2 hours and 7 minutes, and right now I'm at 1 hour and 48 because I still have to do my state. But overall, I'm pretty much done for business wise. I really hope that this video was very informal for you, and I'm just trying my best. Like, again, I am not an accountant. I'm not a CPA. I think they're like the same thing. Don't judge me on that. But this is just what I do for my business, and you'll have to figure out like what works for you. And a couple years ago, I used to just put everything into an Excel spreadsheet, organize it all into categories, and then I would print it off and bring it to my accountant and she would do it. But I learned that just doing it myself is a little bit easier. That's to me. Now everyone thinks it's easier just to bring it to someone, and that's true. Like my dad has his own business and he does that. He brings it to someone. But I personally just like doing it on TurboTax because then I can make sure that everything is getting entered in as a deduction. And I honestly like to know how much I'm gonna owe in federal before I actually have to pay it, because it's a big amount, and I like to be prepared. I don't really like surprises all that much. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish off this. Oh, one more thing. Take deep breaths, okay? When you start doing your taxes for your small business, it gets to be very overwhelming. Just remember to keep every single receipt, write everything down, keep track of your mileage. No matter if you're just going down the road to the post office, that's still a tax write-off, okay? I just want you to know that you got this and you're not alone in the confusion of everything. Like, everyone feels this. But again, I really hope this was informal and like helps you with your taxes, because it can be a huge headache to do and you'll procrastinate like me and wait like a month till they're due. Also, this is just a friendly reminder to put aside money for taxes every single month or week, whatever you want to do, because it will sneak up on you. So for me personally, I pay myself 30% to 35%. It depends on the month. based on my net sales for that month. So whatever my net sales is, I times that by 0.3, and that's what I pay myself at the end of every month. And then I also take my net sales and times it by 0.2. So I put away 20% of every single monthly earnings or whatever aside for taxes, so then I have money to pay my taxes right away. If you are forgetful like I was last year, don't panic, because you can actually like do a payment plan with the IRS. If you go to irs.gov and type in any information that they ask, and you can actually do a payment plan with them, so then you don't have to pay like the full amount right away, but you do get penalties for it. It's not that bad, trust me. Like, I've had to do it a year, so you will not be alone in this state. So if you're thinking everyone else puts away taxes, like no one ever had to do this, trust me, I had to do it. Like, don't worry about it. But that also helps that if you like end up forgetting. Alrighty, I'm gonna end this video here. If you guys enjoyed it, please give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.